Bitcoin sub $103,000. Is this the calm before the storm? Well, that was the idea before Bitcoin went from like 104.5 down to 102.8. Or is this a storm before the better storm to the upside? We're going to talk about that. We have a very special guest joining us for a little bit. We have Rob from Digital Asset News will be joining us in a little bit. I'm going to get his thoughts on the Fed and what he expects from this market cycle. Rob's been around the space for a very long time, and so looking forward to get his insight. We're also going to talk some AI. Virtual's protocol, some of those Genesis launches are starting to taper off. Where is the money moving to next? Might have an answer for you. Also, we're going to talk about digital identity as WorldCoin scores a massive partnership with one of the largest social companies in the entire world. What does that mean for the digital identity space, and which projects should you keep your eye out for? We're also going to talk a little bit about Cardano. We're going to talk about XRP, and we'll take a look at some price action and charts. We have that and much, much more on today's episode of SINCITY Crypto. Let's go. Welcome, everyone. Today, I have made a decision. My dad used to say, when your mom turns 50, I'm going to trade her in for two 25-year-olds. Well, I traded in one Rob, the old, boring, and still Rob, for an even better Rob. And that's a friend of the channel, a personal friend of mine. It is my friend Rob from Digital Asset News. Rob, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Did you like the storm before the storm? That was, it's interesting.
That's pretty well said. Storm before the storm before the bigger storm. And then of course the Rob intro was very nice. No offense to Rob.
No, definitely offense to Rob for sure. Man, what a good day. What a good day to have you on, Rob. I want to kind of get your take on the markets, and then we'll jump into a little bit of Fed news with the time we have with you today. But a lot of people, Rob, and you do a live show and you've been creating content for a while. We briefly touched on this prior to going live. And it just feels like people are disinterested. I'm seeing a lot of comments in our chat. Hey, when's altcoin season? Are we even going to have an altcoin season? What's your thesis so far this year? And what do you expect moving into the second half of 2025? And what advice would you give to people watching? Maybe it's their first cycle, maybe it's their second cycle, and they're kind of worried. What are some of your thoughts?
Well, so the advice I give to everybody, especially if this is your first cycle, is that you should be investing into Bitcoin. Because if you don't, you're really starting to gamble a little bit more. And statistically or historically speaking, if you were investing into Bitcoin, if you can hold it for 4 years, doesn't matter any time since 2009, when you got into Bitcoin, you would be up. And that's going to hold true when we see a brutal bear market hit us. And right now people say, well, we're in a bear market. No. This is sideways chop. This is sideways action. You may say there's some bearish tendencies, but as far as like the cycle, I don't really think that we're in the truly horrible bear cycle. Remember, in 2025, we're only in June. The yearly low so far for Bitcoin itself has been around 74, 75K. Correct me in the comment section. So right now we're still at 103K. I know we're down. We're not at 112K or 125 or the predictions of 250K, but we're still in a pretty good place. So I would just say like this, to answer your question, what I tell people in the beginning is don't get in altcoins first, get into Bitcoin first, have some stability, make that the lion's share of your portfolio. And I kind of go from there. Now to answer your question, as far as like with altcoins, this is very different. And we talked about this yesterday on the show, how I know how it feels. Because right now everything is either chopping sideways or you are bleeding against Bitcoin. And you can take a look at the alts, and usually during this time we see massive pumps. Take a look at 2021, take a look at 2017. As far as the 4-year cycles, that's not happening. I think there's a day of reckoning, and I think it's coming past. And this is just my personal thoughts, which is I think people got so screwed over by the meme coins, which are altcoins. They're going to put it all in the basket. Some people say, no, those aren't altcoins. Those are meme coins. To the general public, those are all altcoins. And they got screwed over so bad by the people that got into it. And I know a bunch of VCs were behind that. It just is what it is. The early investors screwed over the latent investors. And because of that, they look at all altcoins as trash. Unfortunately, that's how it is. And that's why people aren't really investing into it. And that's why you see the institutions, the sovereign wealth funds, and the nations getting into Bitcoin so much so for as opposed to the altcoins. Now, as far as like altcoins, my thesis is very simple. The Genius Act just passed in the Senate. It has to go through the House of Representatives. Once it gets through that, hopefully it doesn't get bastardized too much, goes to the President of the United States table, he signs it off, and we have a stablecoin bill moving forward. And my thesis has always been this: take a look at the stablecoins, which the lion's share is USDT or Tether and USDC, and take a look at all the rails that are being built on that. Which ones do you see? You see Ethereum. You see Tron. There's a reason why Tron is in the top 10. You see Solana. You see layer twos like Arbitrum and Polygon and a whole host of others. Take a look at those, because the next big narrative, my personal opinion, is payments. And if you can get into that, you can't get rich off of stable coins, obviously, but you can get and make some pretty good gains on the rails that those are built on. The question you have to ask yourself is, which one of those rails are the one that really sticks out, and which of the laggards are not really being used? So that's for something to everybody do their own research. But I hope that answers some of your questions.
Yeah, that's, Rob, I think you hit the nail on the head. And you know, I have my big three. My big three is stable coins, artificial intelligence, and RWA. I don't think RWA is taken off yet, but we are seeing some things brewing there. But the stable coin, Rob, you hit the nail on the head. I feel like, and we've had guests on the show where everyone agrees, like when we think about, hey, what purpose can crypto serve, like a practical purpose for the everyday people? It's stable coins, it's payments, right? We talk about the fees are cheaper, people are saving money, it's faster. I mean, I've given this example multiple times, but we've had two separate scenarios from our business side where we're trying to wire money for X amount, and we got to go through 20,000 hoops and spend X amount of money versus sending in stablecoin, and it's much quicker, cheaper, and faster. And so I agree. My scope into the stablecoin and everything you said, Rob, I 100% agree with, and I think Ethereum is the runaway winner there. My thing as well is, once these stablecoins are here, you're going to bet the banks, the hedge funds, they're going to look to capitalize and try to earn some money off of those stablecoins. You see Coinbase and Kraken offering 4 or 5%. Look at plays and crypto projects that allow institutional staking and institutional DeFi when it comes to stablecoins, yield earning. And so there's a bunch of projects that I've spoken about. You know, you got Convex Finance, you got Curved DAO, you have Asymmetry, which is backed by Fidelity. These are all projects. Now, these are a lot more riskier than what you're saying, Rob, which is, hey, just go to wherever these things are built, L1 or L2, Ethereum, Polygon, Tron, maybe Solana. Either way, I don't think you can go wrong. But we've seen AI really run. I just don't, like, RWAs haven't ran yet. And Rob, you know, you mentioned previous cycles. I want to show this. This is Bitcoin returns on the monthly. You take a look at 2021, right? The first 3 months, killer, 14.5, 36.7, 30%, right? 2017, we had a flat January, 23% returns in February, and then 9% drawdown. You look at 2025 so far, it was a mediocre January, 9%. February got crushed, 17%. And then March was negative. And so literally the complete opposite of what happened in 2021. And we take a look at April, May, June, which is Q2, kind of same thing. It went in reverse. Q2 for 2021 was all red. Q2 for 2025 so far has been green. June will probably flip green as well. It's only down 0.27%. And then you look at 2017, Q2 was absolutely massive, 32%, 52%, 10%. So this cycle really is different, Rob. And I agree with you. I think a lot of people just, the advice you gave of anchor your portfolio in Bitcoin, I think is so important. Even someone like me who's been in the space a while, who's been investing, my portfolio is still heavily anchored into Bitcoin. And so this time is different. And going into the latter half of the year, Rob, outside of stablecoins, is there another narrative or a vertical in crypto that you believe are going to see a lot of returns, but maybe also alongside a lot of returns, a lot of money flowing in to this vertical or ecosystem?
This one, I think, I'm going to piggyback on what you talked about with AI and real world assets. We took a look at, and there was a post from Elon Musk, and he took a look at the electricity consumption in the United States for today and what it's going to need to hold up in the next 3 to 5 years for compute for artificial intelligence to actually be viable. And what we have today for all electricity is what we're going to need in 3 to 5 years just for artificial intelligence. So I think if we're going to use AI, first thing we have to decipher is which crypto projects are actually doing things with AI and which of them are going, yeah, we're doing AI and you should invest in this. And this would be the greatest token of all time. I think that's a big thing, because if you're old like me, I remember in the .com era when everybody just would put .com next to their name, and then all of a sudden the stock would go up crazy. At that point, they had no ambition to do anything with the internet. Because it was just a new thing.
Bingo.
So when I take a look at this, I'm like, yes, it could do pretty well. Like me personally, now I'm a little biased. I have bags, shocker. One of those would be Aether. And that is all about compute power and using the GPUs that are kind of underutilized to actually maximize that potential, and you can pay an Aether. So that could be one thing. And the next one that you talked about, which is, it's a good idea, talking about real world assets, because unfortunately, when I look through everything, I look through it as the lens of an American. And as a lens of an American, I think to myself, who the hell needs payments? I've got Venmo, I've got Cash App, I got my bank, I got my debit, I got my card, right? But I don't really think about the fact that there are people, say, in Mexico, 20, 30 years ago, the peso entirely collapsed. So everybody that was saving everything in pesos essentially was wiped out in like a week. And then also, if you're doing for payments, they're like, okay, I don't want to use Bitcoin for payments, because if I use it for payments now in a week and I'm down 10, 20%, which can happen, it's happened historically speaking, then I can't do that because I have to feed my family. However, if it's backed by the dollar, I know people say, well, the dollar is trash, and of course, all fiat will go to zero. Okay, I'm not going to deny that. However, for stability for the short term, it's still there. And when I look through that, and I think to myself, okay, this is something that I think is going to have to be done as far as payments. Now, looking over to real world assets, I think my same thing is like, property, real estate, which is what me and my wife are primarily into. I just look at it and go, okay, I'm just going to go to the bank. We're going to take out a loan, and it's going to be 6.25% to 7 point, whatever it is today, 7.5, I think, 7.6. And we're going to take that loan out and buy these properties for short-term or long-term rentals. However, in every other country, and a lot of other countries, they don't do that. What they do is, just talking to a friend yesterday who was from Juarez, Mexico. And he said, he goes, we can't do it over there because the rates over in Mexico, you're looking at 14, 16, 25%.
Wow.
And we can't do that. What we have to do is we'll buy the plot first, then we'll buy the foundation, we'll pour the cement, then we'll build, and eventually we'll move in, and it'll be multi-generational type of thing.
Wow.
However, if you can do something with like real world assets and you can tokenize those and people can do investments, that's a great thing.
Amen.
Right? So with these, again, when I see it through the lens of an American, which is how I've looked at everything my whole life, when I open myself up, I'm like, okay, that could actually work and that could actually be used. So I can see it.
That's a really good example. You know, Rob, I was doom scrolling, I think it was Facebook. I saw an ad. This company that's pitching, I don't know if you've seen it. I forgot the name of the company. I don't even want to mention it because I don't want to, give them any airtime. But, usually if you own a home, and the way to get money out is you either have to refinance or do what's called a home equity line of credit. What they're saying is you don't got to do any of that. We'll give you cash up front, and then you just sign an agreement that from now until 10 years, if you sell your house, we get X amount of the profit. If you don't sell the house within the 10 years, you just pay us back what you borrowed plus like an interest rate. Now, that idea, it kind of aligns with what you're saying, Rob, and with home prices becoming less attainable for people from interest rates and just, inflation alone, the idea of, hey, I can buy a house and you can essentially like crowdfund it. I don't know, do a hundred tokens, right? Tokenize it down to 100. And instead of a $500,000 house, you got to find money from one person, or, from a lender. You can disperse that amongst 100 people, and they each have a share in the profit. I don't know the specifics on how that would work, but these are practical solutions that I think about that I think people could use, and it would be beneficial to people. just like we see with stable coins. So yeah, Rob, I know we don't have a lot of time with you. I'd love to keep you on if you got a little more time, but if you got a jet, I completely understand.
Well, I gotta respond to that one.
Yeah, please.
What you just talked about.
Please, yeah.
So with those we just talked about, being able to crowdsource that funding for those loans, it's actually a pretty good play, and here's why. In Puerto Rico, where I live, my wife live, to go through the banks again, it sucks. It's very difficult. It's going to take 2 to 3 months. The rate's pretty comparable because it is Puerto Rico is probably the United States. But what people will really do is they'll look for hard money lenders like myself and say, hey, we need a loan for X amount. Okay. Well, the rate over here is 7.25%. Would you do it for 8.5%? Sure, we'll do that. So we'll do loans. And of course, the way that we protect ourselves is we put ourselves as the first lien holder. And if we're the first lien holder, something happens, they default, then we get the property back, which has never happened yet. So in that situation, if you look up and for people who've bought and sold real estate, you'll know, take a look at an amortization table. And you can see that over time, the interest that you get, even though you'd say like it's 8.25 or 8.5%, it's actually much more in the very beginning because you front load that loan and you can make some pretty good ROI as far as for lending. But here's what I want to make sure everybody understands. Those types of things and the crowdfunding and the real world assets are great, and those things could work out pretty well. But just remember, how do you compare that to the gains that you could make as far as with Bitcoin? And I know that obviously we're on a crypto show, and obviously this is what we're going to talk about, but I really want you to think about that, where Bitcoin and the price is going to go, and would it beat you being able to do those types of hard money lending? Now, of course, like you were talking about, David, if you need a house and you want to crowdsource that, then that makes a lot of sense. But sometimes I think to myself, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea just to rent for a little bit, save that money, and then putting into other investments, whatever that may be. So again, everybody's situation is different. But when I take a look at all those things, there's so many options out there. But the one thing I always come back to is this going to outperform Bitcoin? Obviously, nobody knows, but it's just something that everybody has to consider.
That's a great point of view to really think, and you can think through that with really any financial decision you make in your life is, do I put money here or will I get better returns of Bitcoin? Do I invest here or will I get better returns in Bitcoin? And I think that's going to become more of a norm for the everyday person, not just the people that are in our space. Rob,
True.
I got to let you go. Thank you so much for joining me. Always a pleasure having you on, my friend. Those of you watching, I can't imagine that aren't over there at Digital Asset News on YouTube. But if you aren't, go sub. Rob does a live show, amazing content. Rob, thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you soon, brother.
All right, David. Thank you. See you guys.
Take care. All right. I love Rob, man. It's a good dude. Okay. Let's talk about, I have a Q&A up. Okay. Obviously, no baby Rob today. We had the big Rob in the house. So I don't have a co-host. I need you to be my co-host. And to be my co-host, all I ask you is drop some conversation starters. We already got one from Broke Yoshi. Will Bitcoin dominance ever go down again? I'll get to that in a second, my friend. I do have some alpha I want to share with you guys. But first, let's talk about, Donald Trump. He's at it again, accusing the entire Fed board of sabotage. Reserves blame for ringleader Jerome Powell. He said the Fed should have cut rates by 2.5%. Would not recommend that. To save billions on Biden's short-term debt. Once the Fed starts cutting rates, guys, and I know we talked about this, but just to kind of put it in perspective, that's $7-point-something trillion in money market funds that's currently earning that 4.5% to 5.5%. Once interest rates go down, that money's going to flow elsewhere. It's not going to sit idle earning 3% because you're barely keeping up with inflation. That money's going to work its way into risk on assets. And guess what? With an Ethereum ETF, with a Bitcoin ETF, with a basket ETF, and soon XRP, HBAR, Solana, SWI, Cardano, that money is going to have a lot of different homes to go to in our space. And I think it's going to benefit a lot of the projects and crypto in its entirety. Speaking of the Fed, Federal Reserve's Chris Waller says they could cut rates as early as July, which is the next meeting. And I always say this, but I should have had this up. Let's pull up the CME really quick. And let's see what we're seeing for July. We're still at 85.5% for a nothing in July, only 14.5%, even though Chris Waller says we're going to get a cut. So CME doesn't believe him, still at 85.5. Now there's still some time to go. We're looking at July 30th. So the very end of next month will be the next FOMC. Obviously, this is going to change. I do think we'll get a cut in July. If not in July, definitely when they come back in September. But unless something breaks, you're going to get 25 basis points, maybe twice. Maybe twice. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Either way, I don't think the Fed cutting rates is an absolute necessity for a big cycle run when it comes to altcoins and obviously Bitcoin as well. But I definitely think it could be the gasoline to really get that flame nice and high, right? To really get the markets going. I think the big thing for me is the macro uncertainty. We're seeing a lot of projects that were moving. News is coming out, and it's just not moving the price. And I think a lot of people are on edge of their seats, seeing what's going on overseas. And so until that's over, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are skittish and afraid to put their money back into the markets. They think there's more downside. But when that flip switches or when that switch flips, it's going to happen very fast. And if you're on the sidelines for too long, or if you're like, shit, it went up too fast, I'm going to wait for another dip, you might be too late. Let's take a peek at Bitcoin ETF flows. Yesterday, $388 million of BlackRock leading the way at 278. You know, the day prior, June 17th, BlackRock brought in $640 million in the ETF, one of their biggest days ever. But we ended the day with a net 216 of inflows, 216 million of inflows. Fidelity, 208 million sold, and the fourth column is ARK. They saw 191 million of outflows. Now the ETH one, the ETH ETF inflows were on an absolute roll. You take a look here, going back to June 9th, 52 million. Following day, 125 million. Following day, double that to 240. And then 112. And then to end the week, we saw minute outflows. And then this week has just been pretty paltry, 21 million, 11 million, 19 million. But we're still seeing a lot of the inflows into BTC. Now, speaking of Bitcoin, Brokiyoshi, to answer your question, will Bitcoin dominance fall ever again? The answer, obviously, my friend, is yes. Let's take a look at a Bitcoin dominance chart, which again, you want to be my co-host today, drop some questions in the chat, in the Q&A, and I'll make sure to get to as many as I possibly can. But this is Bitcoin dominance on the daily. Even when we got that dip down to that 61, right? We wicked down to 61.86%. It was just an absolute V-shaped recovery, right? Just a V-shaped recovery. We take a look here. This thing, this should break, right? You're talking about what rises falls and what falls rises. And this thing is in a rising channel. It should break to the downside. But you take a look at previous cycles, you guys. Let's look at 2021 when the altcoin bull market really started. So you're looking at December of 2020. Bitcoin dominance peaked at 74%. Excuse me, this was January of 2021. It peaked at 73.69%. And then we saw a massive spill-off where within about 4 months, a little over 4 months, Bitcoin dominance dropped by 46% to a low of 40%, chopped sideways. And guess what? This is where we have those massive altcoin rallies until we got the bottom, November of 2022, and Bitcoin dominance has literally just been up and to the right since then. Since the bottom here in September, but we're going to take November because, well, that's when FTX happened. That literally marked the bottom of the bear market. Bitcoin dominance has been up 65%. Now, if this is your first cycle or you're wondering, why is Bitcoin dominance so important? You want your altcoin bags to run, Bitcoin dominance needs to fall. Will it get back down to 40%? I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't. I think we should be ecstatic, okay? If Bitcoin dominance breaks and we kind of fill this gap here, That's between 49 and 59%. If we can get a retracement from Bitcoin dominance down to this region, I think we can get a pretty big altcoin rally. But guys, the institutions are here. The inflows are going to keep going. People are going to be building Bitcoin DeFi projects and dApps, and it's not going to slow down. So if you're looking for a sub 40% Bitcoin dominance, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't want to say ever, but I'm pretty sure ever. And so those are my thoughts on Bitcoin dominance. Brokiyoshi, thank you very much for your question. Again, drop some conversation starters in the Q&A section for me, if you don't mind. I saw there was a question. Jason said, what's your Tau peak for the cycle? I think anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 on BitTensor, I think is fair. I think that's my base case. Not overly bullish, not too bearish. Might be a little on the more bearish side. But $3,000 to $5,000, you're talking about a project with around 8.3 million in circulating supply. And so for me, I look at what is BitTensor doing, look at the growth, look at the metrics. To me, it's a no-brainer, $3,000 to $5,000 BitTensor, which you're looking at about a little more than a 10x from here, from a top project that you know is not going anywhere. With that being said, I do want to give a big thank you to today's channel sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by CAMS Blue Wire. I'm not going to spell Blue Wire, it's too long. But CAMS Blue Wire Technology, if you want to learn how they can help your business maximize, scale, and grow your cybersecurity, networking, and IT, visit bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video. Also, I want to make a big announcement. You guys know we love RareEvo, and they want to give away free tickets to anyone with a Nevada driver's license. So if you're local in Vegas, if you're from Reno, if you're from that one weird small town that allows hookers and escorts and whorehouses, we give you free tickets as well. And so there's a link in the description. Use the code SINCITYCOMP, but don't try to pimp the system, because when you come here and you go to get your pass, they will ask you for your ID. So don't try to sneak your way in if you don't have that Nevada driver's license, because you're going to have to show it when you get your ticket in person. What we're also going to be doing is we're going to be picking one person over the next couple of weeks to upgrade their general admission pass to VIP for free. And so if you have your ticket, screenshot it. If you use our code, screenshot it, post it on X and tag us. If you haven't, highly recommend you come. Use the link in the description. Use our code. You'll save some money. And then same thing. Snapshot, tag us on X, and you'll be in the running to get your tickets upgraded for free from general to VIP. I want to take a peek at the market. Let's look at BTC here. We can look at Bitcoin from a chart perspective. 103.1, seeing a little bit of a bounce back from BTC. And we don't want that. We want this. Beautiful. Looks like we might be range bound. Got an M pattern here. Should break to the downside, right? Essentially a double top pattern. Should see some follow through to the downside. So what does downside look like? Okay, so let's drop some horizontals here. The first level is going to be 100.76, but that is where our current range ends. So we take a look. A few things we can do. One, we can throw on our cloud. Wow, on the daily. Broke below the cloud on the daily. Okay. Still green. 9-day. Let's see if the 9MA is it. Are we about to get a bearish cross here? Got to like ultra zoom in. We're about to get a bearish cross on our 9-day moving average, crossing above our 26-day moving average, which is your first sign of bearish momentum, if you didn't already know from the price action. Second is we've broken into the cloud. Now, we haven't broken outside the cloud yet. That might happen, but that would look like a drop below. Now, depending on when this happens, if it happens by the 26th of June, you're looking at 95,616. If it happens at any point between the 26th of June to the 13th of July, you're looking at 98.1 as the immediate level of support when you talk about the cloud. But once you break below that, you do have a few levels down here, and we can actually let's throw on our high volume points. See if we see anything there. We got one big high volume point at 88K, 88.6. I don't think we're going to get that low. I don't think we break under 90. I do think we'll probably get one break below 90, or excuse me, below 100. I don't think we go below 90. And the other thing we can do as well is we take a peek at the weekly time frame. Now, weekly still looks good, right? We're still pretty far away from our cloud on the weekly. We got some room to run. 9 days trading above our 26-day. So weekly still looks bullish. We're also flagging on the weekly as well. As you can see, big move up. That's your big flag leg or your post. This is your flag. We should see some down, or we should see that flag continue to fill out on the flag portion. We draw our fib. We take a look. The key level I'm eyeing here is a 50% retracement level, which is 93,546 for BTC, which also coincides currently with our 26-day MA at 93,217. Then you have your gold pocket sitting right around 87.89. And again, I don't think we're going to get there, but it's important to at least map it out. Now, we are currently trading at our 236 level, which is 103,549. As long as we don't go below 93,546, this bull flag on the weekly is still intact. Feel comfortable trading this on the breakout retest. But daily, keep your eye on the daily. Do believe we have a little more downside to go. Now, again, this is the one thing I want to say, and I say it all the time. One tweet can change everything, good or bad. A bad tweet can completely tank the markets, and hey, we won't see 90K again. Here we go, sub 90K again. Here we go, sub 90K. Or one tweet saying, hey, Iran agreed to a deal. The war is stopping, yada, yada, and everything rallies. And screw your M pattern, screw the cloud, screw your 9-day MA cross, yada, yada, yada. And so just keep that in mind. The last thing I want to do here for BTC, we're trading well above our 200-day MA on Bitcoin on the daily. Let me get rid of the cloud. We still have some headway, my friends. From current price to the lower band, we still got 9% left, and that brings us down to around 93.8. So that 93.8 level is where to keep your eye on. Again, not saying it's going to get there, but if we do get more downside, expect to see potentially $93.8 thousand. We take a look at altcoins. Let me refresh this. SPX 6900, which was supposed to go to $1 trillion, is down 15.6%. Fartcoin down 10%. Hyperliquid, everything's in the red except for a few. Say up 5%. Gate token up 5.3%. And Kaya. What is Kaya? You guys know Kaya? Anyone have Kaya? I don't have any Kaya. I don't know what the hell it is. I keep saying this. You know what? Let's take a peek at Kaya. I do have some alpha I want to give to you guys. We'll talk some AI, also talk some identity. Kaya, 1.2 billion market cap. Finchia and Clayton will be merged to Kaya. Okay, Clayton, isn't Clayton like an L2? Kaya's a high-performance public blockchain that brings Web3 to the fingertips of hundreds of millions across Asia. Okay, so it's an Asia play formed through merger of Clayton and Finchia. Initially developed by Kakao Online. Kaya's Asia's largest Web3 ecosystem integrated with... Okay. Again, nothing I personally hold, nothing I'm really interested in, but it's one of the top gainers. Pet Brett said, Trump will announce July 4th that the internet and MSM have been fear-mongering for the last 2 weeks. I don't know about that. Benjamin Cole said, Trump will tweet China deal, Iran deal, Ukraine deal all at once to send this to Mars. That could very well happen. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think he'll, unless all that happens at once, which I don't think it does. I don't think he sits on good news like that, especially if the markets are down. That's just my 2 cents. All right, let's talk about BitTensor. Let's talk about some AI. I'm going to give you guys some alpha here. This is from Teng Yan. Highly recommend if you're interested in the BitTensor ecosystem, you want to learn more. This is a great account to follow at 0x Prismatic. You see there? Go follow him. 12 months ago, we didn't have NASDAQ companies aping into Tau on the bingo card. But here we are. Synaptogenics, which is a publicly traded company, did a MicroStrategy style bet on BitTensor, and the stock jumped 40% after it announced a $10 million Tau buy, which is 2 times their own market cap. They're aiming for 100 million. Okay? They're aiming for 100 million. James Altucher is leading it, 5.5 million personal stake. They're releasing preferred shares and Tau-linked warrants, and a full rebranding is incoming. Oblong, which is also a publicly traded company, is next. $7.5 million raise to accumulate Tau and back Subnet Zero, which is Root. The stock popped after the announcement. So we're seeing Bitcoin level effects when companies are announcing that they're allocating some of their treasury or some of their funds to BitTensor. The thesis for these companies is simple. Tau is scarce, programmable, and productive. It is the native asset of decentralized intelligence. This won't be the last. We're watching the start of a public market land grab for crypto AI infrastructure. A point Rob made when he was on the show just a little bit ago was back in the .com era, everyone just slapped the word .com on their ticker, on their company, and everything skyrocketed, and ultimately everything fell and the cream rose to the top. Same thing with AI. Same thing. You're going to see a lot of people rebranding to AI. We're introducing AI. No, we've been an AI company. A lot of those are going to trend to zero. The ones that are actually providing utility, use case, and practical things that people can use it for, like BitTensor, like Virtuals Protocol, like Render, like Rob mentioned, Aether, like, what's the one? Akash, and a bunch of other ones. Those are the ones you want to be in. Because when the dust settles and everything starts going back up, you're going to see which ones are the real deal and which ones are not. Now, in the Virtuals ecosystem, we've been really crushing it with the Genesis launches. Now, the trend has been, now I know the overall markets are down, but the Genesis launches, you're still making money, but the returns are a lot less than they were a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So my first question then becomes, okay, is something wrong? Nothing's wrong. They're constantly updating. They're making changes, right? Which is great. They usually like are spot on with everything, with all the changes. They listen to feedback from the community. So is it the overall market or is money moving elsewhere? You are starting to see some interest in the BitTensor ecosystem when it comes to AI agents. And well, there's one platform that is pretty well known, and that is CreatorBid. And they're an AI agent launchpad. And this is where D-King lives. You guys know I've been bullish on D-King. Our Patreon members got in at 2 million market cap. It's currently sitting at around 18 million. So on 9X, it got to as high as around 40 million. And they just announced a $300 million investment from the hedge fund, from one of the top sports betting hedge funds in the world. And it just crushed the this bet here. Inter Miami versus FC Porto, 280%. That's from D-King. You look at the chart here. This thing was just at $1.10. It's at 75. Let me refresh the page. It is at 75.5 cents. And you see the trend here. And I know I showed this yesterday, but I'm going to show it again. You see the trend here. We see these massive rallies, and then you see these 25% pullbacks. Massive rallies, 25% pullbacks. Massive rallies, 25% pullback. Those of you that are part of our Patreon, you guys know my strategy for D-King. And so I'm not saying you do the same, but have this on your radar. Money's moving. Another CreatorBid / BitTensor native AI agent is AION 5100. And we take a look at price action on this one. This one hasn't performed nearly as well as D-King has, but still, from lows of around 13 cents, it got as high as 77 cents. And this is another one. Fantastic team. Similar to what D-King is doing, but not really in sports betting, more in prediction markets. And so if money's moving there, you're going to want to have a little bit of allocation. You don't want to buy when things, when D-King runs from 50 cents to $1. You want to buy those 20 to 30% dips. Of course, we're not giving you financial advice here, but something to keep on your radar. Also, if you go to creator.bid, click on agents, you can see all the different agents here via market cap. Number one is going to be D-King with 15.9, Sally at 14.6. And you can see all the different ones. I wouldn't go too far down the list, honestly. I'd stay above like a million market cap, maybe throw in 500,000 market cap and above. Shogun's an interesting one at 2.3 million. I don't have any Agent Algo and I don't have any Sally, but those have performed fairly well. But look at the volume and the fees. Look at the volume on D-King, 609,000. And I think the next highest one is 199. It's 199. And so D-King's been crushing it. So shout out to everyone that's been watching our show. Hopefully, I don't know you guys took some profit or not, but we're making money over here with the AI agents. And then this is an interesting question. Which altcoin do you prefer to hodl long term? Now, I want you to play, okay? I want you watching to put your answer in the chat. In fact, let me go ahead and create a poll here. Start a poll. Sweet or hyperliquid long-term hold. I'm going to post this, and I want you guys to make sure to vote sweet or hype. For me, I look at multiple things. I look at, okay, what is Hyperliquid doing? Well, it's trading to DEX, perps, right? Decentralized, which is great. Always going to be a scenario where people want those kind of things. The other one is Sui. A lot of money behind it. My Solana 2.0. Which one do I feel more comfortable holding long term? I think the answer for me is going to be Sui. Not to say I'm not bullish on Hyperliquid, but when you look at companies and platforms like Coinbase, like Kraken, who are looking to get into the perp space, and I know Hyperliquid is different because it's decentralized, right? It's peer-to-peer. You have an element of centralization with the other platforms like Kraken, like Coinbase. But where are the users, right? We have users on Hyperliquid now, but are they going to be able to get more users if people have a Coinbase or a Kraken account or a Binance account, Binance US account? They can just go on there and do it themselves. Hey, my money's already here. I'm already KYC'd here. I trust this company because I have my money with them. I'm just going to trade here. Sui, on the other hand, a lot of money behind it. There's a lot of hype. And again, Solana 2.0. So for me, my longer term hold is Sui. And I'm curious to see what you guys vote and what you think in the comments section as well. Also, in other news, on X, ex-CEO Linda Yaccarino has just confirmed that users will soon be able to make investments and trades on X. I don't want to say I can guarantee you, but I truly believe crypto will be included. At the very least, BTC. And so just keep that in mind. Money transmitter licenses are in play. I think they're almost at every single state. I'm speaking of X that has a money transmitter license. You'll be able to make payments. They offered a chat feature. They're looking to be the WeChat of the United States, of really the world. And with WeChat, you literally have one app. It's your social app. It's your finance app. It's your investing app. It's your everything app. That is what X is looking to do. So keep your eyes peeled. If there's any sort of crypto element, I'm not saying the prices of Bitcoin and crypto are going to skyrocket right away, but just something to keep your eye on. And then we have this as well. Coinbase obtains regulatory license to offer crypto services across Europe. Now, we know Europe, they have this whole MiCA compliance thing and USDC. Tether can't really operate there. So you look at this and like, okay, David, well, you give me this news. What am I supposed to do with that? Well, Coinbase is a publicly traded company. And you talk about entering into, although they might not be the largest capital market, but they're up there when you consider all of Europe. And so when you look at a Coinbase stock, let's actually pull up the ticker here. Coinbase Global on the NASDAQ. Let's pull it up. $305. It's been on a really, really good run. I mean, it was at 236 just 7 days ago. Coinbase stock has rallied. Is it off the news? I don't know. Maybe. Broke above its 200 AMA, had a positive retest. This is all good. $305. Now, if you're seeing that news I just shared, right? The Coinbase, the Coinbase Europe news, and you're like, oh, okay, you know what? I want to get in this. I would wait for a pullback. You are going to see a pullback. I mean, the perfect ideal entry here would be to enter in on a retest of this 200 MA again, which I'll drop a flag. It's around 239. Circle has been crushing it. You're going to see a lot of crypto native companies go public. I think Tether might go public. Ripple maybe go public. Coinbase is public. Circle is public. And so if you believe Coinbase is going to grab some market share over in Europe, common sense thing to do would be to own the stock of the company that is doing that. And well, you have this option here, which is Coinbase. All right, I'm going to take a peek at the chat. See if y'all threw any questions on there. We got 210 people watching, 79 likes. I'm going to end the vote here. Hyperliquid or Sui long term? 64% of you, 63% of you said Sui. 36% said Hyperliquid. Now, again, guys, doesn't mean I'm not bullish. I'm not bullish on Hyperliquid. I'm bullish on both. I wish I wouldn't have been so, I don't want to call it scared, but I wish I would have been a little more aggressive when it dipped down to $13. I was a little hesitant. In hindsight, that would have been such a good pickup. $13. It went up to $42. Nice solid 3x. Well, everything else is the biggest gainer out of the top 100 for sure. And so, yeah, Chris Domo said this is a bear run. Chris, I don't think this is a bear run. I don't. I think this is a pullback in a bull market. And again, a lot of uncertainty on the macro side. Just keep that in mind. Once that uncertainty is gone, you're going to start seeing positive price action from some of the biggest companies. With that being said, let's dig into some news. This is a big one, guys. Reddit reportedly is going to adopt WorldCoin's orb technology for user verification. Reddit is reportedly in talks to use WorldCoin's orb for user verification, according to social media sources. The partnership, if confirmed, could address bot activity using biometric World ID tech. Guys, if you're on social media, you know how massive of a problem this is, especially if you're a content creator. My God, I cannot tell you how many comments I delete, how many accounts I block, and still, it's like David Goggins. It just does not stop, right? That meme, right? The sellers are getting exhausted. And then it's a picture of David Goggins running and it says the sellers. Same thing with the bots. And platforms are sick of it. I know some of them see it as good. The metrics are boosted when they sell to advertisers, but it ruins the user experience. And any real platform that really looks to give its users the best UI, the best possible experience on their platform is going to take this serious. And how do you do it without asking people to hand over their picture of their driver's license and everything else? You do it through something like WorldCoin. I'm not saying WorldCoin is perfect for digital identity. It scans your freaking iris, but there's other solutions out there. ICP's has digital identity. Cardano, they're big on privacy and digital identity. Polygon, Mina Protocol, there's a bunch of them, but there's one that, funny enough, it was one of the first projects I invested in. I totally forgot about it. I was digging in. It's Civic. I don't know. It's been around since 2015. But Civic is an interesting one. And this project, I think, is actually up. Let's take a peek at CVC in crypto. CVC. It's been on, let's go Coinbase. This thing has been on Coinbase a while. CVC, Coinbase. Let's start on the weekly. It had a little bit of a rally. I mean, this chart goes back to 2021, but the project's been here since 2015, according to their website. And so just kind of peeking the chart here. This is the weekly. Let's go to the monthly. We do have some. So higher lows on the monthly, right? Higher lows on the monthly. So this is essentially a symmetrical triangle on the monthly for Civic, and we're kind of nearing the end. So are we going to see a big explosion? Maybe. Upside, downside, we don't know. My bet is it would be to the upside, but not telling you to go buy this thing. I personally don't have any. I might be buying some, but this is interesting. Digital IDs. It's news like this that could really spark a run in whatever sector the news is in. We saw with AI, we saw with RWAs, we saw with the stable plays. Now we're seeing it with digital identities. Keep your eye on Cardano. Keep your eye on WorldCoin. Keep your eye on Civic. Keep your eye on ICP. Keep your eye on Polygon, on Mina. I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones as well. But this is something, again, that is needed. And if you get another, I don't know, Facebook or X or I don't know, any other platform that is looking to do this and partnering with a crypto native project, this could be potentially fairly big. All right. With that being said, guys, that'll do for the show today. I want to thank every single one of you for joining me. Also, a big thank you to the Lily Boo Boo. I think that's the name. Boo Boo Lily? What's the name? Much better than Rob, you know, very quiet, it's chill. Good show today, Lily Boo Boo Lily. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys are going to have an absolutely amazing weekend. If you stay in the chat, you'll automatically be redirected to Sistine Trading. Well, Forrest is going to be breaking down the charts there. With that being said, Gina, we're back. I'm proud of you. Thank you all so much. It's been a fantastic week. Have an amazing weekend, my friends. Hop over to Sistine Trading, catch some charts with Forrest. No, we'll see you Monday. Peace.
SINCITY, crypto. Everybody know we here for. entertainment and info, gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in, for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David, I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite, I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners, special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners, ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors, they gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin, and sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya, to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be let